Okay, so Black feminism. So we were talking about, this show was about feminism, okay?
Sorry about
And
that.
so we were talking about like how feminism has affected our household, like how the entire movement has changed the way we function. I don't know that it's necessarily feminism, but yeah, that was the main topic
I
of
think
discussion. Did you
that
want to? Oh, go
feminism has gotten a bad rap. And the reason I say that is comparing to the reason that it initially started, right? I think it has definitely morphed into something different. And I also think that there are other things being tied to it that's not a part of it. But it makes
Mhm.
good, you know, argument when somebody's trying to, say how feminism ruined everything. Because there are a lot of things that are being tied to feminism, like this idea of saying, like how men are saying, oh, y'all wanted equality. So it's things like they're contributing feminism to equality to the point of you can beat a woman up the way that you would fight a man, like that kind of stuff. So
It's
I'm
crazy.
like, that has nothing to do with what feminism is. And it actually is quite opposite. That was one of the things that feminism was fighting against, was that, they had that, you ever heard that saying, like, rule of thumb, like that's where it came from. It was, you could not beat your wife with something that was the width of your thumb. So that was the rule. You couldn't do that. So that's where rule of thumb came from. So that feminism was fighting against things like that. And so when I look at how sometimes the men be saying, oh, well, that's feminism for me. Y'all wanted equality. Like, you're tying things to feminism that has absolutely nothing to do with feminism.
And I know too that HG brought up the draft, and you're absolutely right. Women aren't part of the draft, and the draft is very rare. But one thing that women do, they sign up for the army. It's women who sign up for that. They sign
If
up to be in the military. They sign up to be in the Navy. They sign up to be in all these
And in
things.
Israel, the women do. They have to serve in
should
Israel.
you be allowed to vote if you don't can't get drafted?
Yeah, because laws are still going to impact you whether you're drafted or not.
Yeah. And even in your lifetime, the odds of you being drafted, if something goes down, it could be you can go your whole life and not have a draft. That shouldn't be the sticker. That should be the basis of you voting, because you may one day,
Duncan, to answer your question, is patriarchy. But go ahead.
I thought it was a red
Yeah,
pill.
but this is the reason why I'm kind of okay with people grouping in a number of things that you would consider as not a part of feminism, because what people thoughts of what men should do, women are doing the same thing. So
Like what?
now a lot of times men and women are looking at each other as if they're doing the same thing the other person is doing. More men are doing things that women think that they shouldn't be doing, vice versa. Women are doing things that men think that they shouldn't be doing. So because of that bias and that we expect certain things for you to do, because it's just what we've just grown accustomed to wanting for whatever reason or another, it makes sense that men would be like, well, you got money now, and now you are doing what I was essentially responsible for. So now I'm looking at you subconsciously like men, and that some of the women have picked up some of the traits of the very men that they have issue with, and they're out here doing the same thing that they had a problem with. And then they want to be treated differently when you're acting very similar to the thing that you claim you had an issue with.
So HD, do you agree with men fighting women back?
No, I don't. But I also don't agree that men and women are equal. I understand that we both have rights and that we're better together than we are separate, but the same responsibility and authority that falls on me in a relationship does not lie with a woman.
So let me ask you this, because I think a lot of times when we talk about responsibility and man's, I mean, just in the nature of being in America, America is grounded in Christianity, right? But now you're in a generation where religion is no longer, ingrained in the way it was in previous generations. So if we took out the fact that you guys are physically stronger, right? Because I truly believe that that's the one thing that separates us, right? You in terms of giving you guys that edge. We know that you can beat us, but in terms of intellect, being able to think, those kind of things, I would say that we are on the same ground. It all just depends on, like, you'll look at one thing, everybody have a variance, right? It's just kind of like how we say autism is on a spectrum, right? Intelligence is on a spectrum as well. So if you were to eliminate the physicality advantage that men have, men and women can compete on the same playing field. So if you took
playing field?
out when you
In what playing field?
I would just
I would
say
agree.
of life in general, right? So if you took away the fact that, because y'all say, well, we're supposed to be in charge, okay, right? That ideology, a lot of that, like I said, it comes from a religious standpoint. When you act, if you was to ask any guy, I don't care what, well, who says that you're supposed to have authority? The first thing they're gonna say is God, right? They tie that to religion. So the only reason I'm saying take that out, the physicality, the physical aspect of it, is because I just had, like, you guys, like when y'all say, I don't think men and women are equal. I think that's a man's brain way of thinking, like how y'all say we have a certain way of thinking, is that y'all equate, like, y'all have a tendency to define difference as deficit. And it doesn't, those two things don't match.
And let
Okay.
me just say
So
this.
Can we walk through this?
if you go to the jungle, there's no such thing as equally strong alpha animals, whichever one that is. The strongest just gets that nod right off the bat. So I don't think we'll be equal. I think nature and biology would still put us back into that thing if you took away Christianity and those type of things.
No,
Let
well,
me
that's why I said
let me ask
the
you a
only
question.
edge, that was my point. The only edge that y'all
It's
have,
nature. The only edge we have is nature.
right?
Let me ask you a
For
question.
women, in that regard, if we were given the ability, let's say, because when we look at a patriarchal society stemming from back, we didn't have equal rights, right? So a lot of times your argument is, women, we created this society for y'all. Y'all wouldn't have any of this if it was for, well, we never had an opportunity to get in the game. But when you gave us opportunity, we did create. Like, a lot of people, oh, what have y'all done? Like, the fact that we're able to talk face to face on a computer is because a woman actually was the one that started. Look it up. If you don't,
I'm just listening. I haven't said anything. I'm just
being
listening.
able to give, like, that the Facebook, that whatever unit you call it, I don't know the name of it, but look it up.
What am I looking up? I'll look it
I
up now.
have a
Just look up
question.
who created the, what do you call it, the prototype or call for, like, for on camera, like, interaction, like Facebook or something like that, however you type it in. I can't remember her name, and I think she was Black too. So my thing is that a lot of times you guys don't know, and we don't know. Just like in school, in history,
George Schubert.
in history, we learned a lot about his story, right? The winners. Is the same thing for women when we're talking about sexism or patriarchy. is you're not going to learn a lot about the contributions that women contributed, because again, you don't hear about those stories, so y'all don't know. So it's easy to get up here and say women didn't contribute anything, right? They didn't really contribute nothing. We built all of this. Well, if you were never allowed in a game, then you can't compete.